I want your design. Cause you're a criminal as long as you're mine. I want your love. Love, love, I want your love. I want your psycho, your vertical shit. Want you in my rear window, baby, you're sick. I want your love. Love, 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 I want your love.
Hey, what's going on, fellow captains? It's Muse. So today we have a game in the Champagne. We're going to end up having a big game, almost do 200k damage, and it just ends up being a very, very brutal L, a absolutely tragic L. We're going to talk about what happens and why it happens. I don't think, from my role in this, I don't think I could have done a lot more. I did what the Champagne does. It's a flanking battleship. It's a kiting battleship. It's not made to brawl. It's not made to get right up in people's faces. So I played it the way it's supposed to be played. Did 200k damage. Had 3 out of the 5 kills on the team. So I feel like I did my part, and I'm going to be a little critical of my teammates. That's not to say, anything about them, so I'm not, trying to harass anybody. But there's a mistake that my team makes that gets commonly made, very commonly made. What that mistake is a situation develops, and rather than let the enemy feed themselves one by one into your killing machine, you go one by one into their killing machine. And that's what our team does. The beginning of this fight, it's a close fight at the beginning. It actually looks like it's going to be in our favor, though. We get the DDs out of there. Points are close. We end up taking a 2-cap lead. And then our team just literally one by one, you'll see the enemy team all pile into that Charlie cap down there. And our team just literally feeds themselves one by one until it's just me left against, I believe, 5 or 6 ships. And I did 200k damage, so if I would have killed those last, 5 ships, I'd have been looking at like a 300, 400k game, and that's not what you should have to do to get a win. It's a team game. I shouldn't have to get 400k of damage, and unfortunately, I just couldn't do it. I end up in a, I'm not in a position at the end of the game where I can just run away and win the game. The enemy team starts pushing into Bravo. We're down on points because we lost all our ships. So I have to fight. There's no other choice. I have to fight. And basically at that point it was sink everybody. And I end up with a medium range brawl with a Bismarck, while I have a bunch of other ships firing at me, and the French battleships don't handle HE well, and the enemy knew that, and they just spam me with HE, and my hit points just disappear. The rest of this fight we play pretty well. There's not much I could do about the ending. It is what it is. People made mistakes, and we're going to talk about those mistakes. And again, it's not to like call anybody out. You know, I'm not going to say names. I'm not trying to harass anybody. It's to teach. It's a teaching moment. I make my mistakes. I'm more than willing to put my mistakes up and say, you know, here's what I did wrong. Here's what I could have done better. And yeah, I'm going to do that with other people's mistakes as well. You know, I'm not calling you out or saying you're a bad player, like you did something boneheaded. I do boneheaded things all the time. It's all good. We're good. There's no hate, animosity, anything like that. So as you can see, we lose a DD early. That's not going to matter. We end up getting both their DDs. Their Palo goes down right there. I'm going to get their Friesland here in a second. And that's going to leave them with no DDs. And that should have been game. That should have been game. If we have a DD advantage, that should have been game. And unfortunately, our Oster is going to make a very boneheaded play and throw away our advantage. It's one thing to you know, like, when all the enemy DDs are dead, it's one thing. Here's the Friesland. We're about to spank him. But it's one thing when the enemy DDs are all dead and you have like a huge point lead, cap lead, ship lead to just do something crazy in a DD just because your team should be able to finish it off at that point. But when it's a super close game, you need to play kind of conservative and think of the game state. That's our Oster right there. Who's going to make that play? We'll talk about that play when it happens. So as you can see, all the enemy team is down there by Charlie. I spawned on this alpha cap. We won the alpha cap. Everybody left over here. And so I don't want to go through Bravo. That's not, like, again, my ship is not good in a brawl, close-in kind of situation. So I want to stay open water. So I'm going to go to the other side of Bravo and come around the backside and try to put some pressure on that backside, try to draw some fire on that backside. But as you can see, it's very even on ships, and rather than backing off and kind of like regrouping or, you know, drawing the enemy into their trap, our team is just going to keep driving into this trap that the enemy has set. Now you see our DD taking Bravo. That's huge. Again, we're actually up on points a little bit here. We're even on ships. So this is looking good right now. Like, we just need our team to play smart. We got 2 cruisers down there at Charlie. They should be getting out of there and getting into a better position. Like, you can see how many ships you have in front of you. It's only a matter of time till they push you or set up crossfires or basically trap you behind that island. We just lost one of them. The other one, rather than retreat and regroup, is going to push up in there. We're going to lose him. And then you see what this DD is doing. He's about to go through that gap, knowing a battleship is right there, knowing he's going to get spotted in front of 5 battleships and a cruiser. And that's not going to end well for him, especially because he has no smoke to break off the engagement if he needs to. So, like, yeah, you're going to get a YOLO run on this Tirpitz, but you just threw away your destroyer. And in a game, now we're down on ships, we're down on points. Last thing we needed was the only advantage we have being our DD to just make this play that he's making right now. Like, look how close he's getting to this Tirpitz. He knows there's 4 other battleships and a cruiser out there. And you're going to just get yourself spotted in front of all that. That's the end of the Oster. That leaves 3 battleships versus 5 battleships and a cruiser. And again, kind of what these other 2 battleships really needed to do was not put themselves out in front of all that. I can But I have a different, like, I'm a kite battleship. I can draw fire at range like I'm doing and be okay. These guys are just, you can see the one guy is literally going broadside to that gap, and there's, you know, 3 ships that have shots through that gap, possibly 4 now, because that one just got spotted. So he's not going to be long. Like, he's broadside, so he's just going to get his HP chewed up. That was a terrible play to go broadside to that many ships. There it goes. He's done. And then that leaves that last battleship up there. And what he should be doing right now is changing his angle so he's not sitting broadside when these guys come around the corner, or he's not broadside to that gap and start kiting. He's going to go through the gap and he's going to turn to kite, which is the right play. I wouldn't have gone into Bravo, though. I would have stayed outside of Bravo. And as you can see, we were up on points, we had the cap advantage, and we were even on ships, and just literally one by one, our ships all died. You know, people didn't recognize how many red ships were down in that Charlie cap, and repositioned. That's situational awareness. I'm sitting on 100K right now, 10 minutes in. And we're going to do almost another 100K before this is over, but we don't, you know, like, I don't have a choice at this point. I know they're going to take the Bravo cap, so, like, I at this point, I know in my brain, like, we got to kill him. That there's no choice. I have to fight this out. Whether this guy up there lives or dies is no longer my concern. I already know I have to fight this out with all these guys. So I'm just going to go in here, do what I can. Right now they're focused on the one guy, so I'm getting some broadside shots. I'm able to get some big shots into people. I'm going to win the fight with this Bismarck, but he gets so much of my HP that it's just a wrap after I'm done with him. He's bow tanking me, so I shoot the HE, get a fire there. And yeah, this French battleships just don't handle HE well. So, like, I've got Bismarck smacking me with secondaries. I've got his people, you know, throwing HE at me over the islands. Like, that's a lot of HE for a French battleship. I can see Bismarck opened up, so we went back to AP. I expect him to close off after that AP shot, so I went back to HE. And we're just kiting as best we can. This is not ideal to be in a mid-range brawl with a Bismarck while I have, you know, 4 other dudes shooting at me. But this is the position my team left me in. And the biggest mistakes were, one, that Oster just throwing his DD away in a close game, and 2, our team not recognizing the situation, not repositioning and setting a trap for the enemy. Instead, they all fed themselves into the enemy's trap. Like, there's a time to be aggressive and there's a time to be defensive, and this, at that point of the battle, it was time to be defensive, not aggressive. As you can see, my HP is absolutely smoked at this point. And I do believe I'm going to end up going down to fire. Doing the best I can, you know, like, trying to maintain my angle to the Bismarck, cognizant of the other ships up there. There you go, you know, like, turned out right as homie fired without even looking at him. Like, spidey senses going off. Doing what we can here. Almost get 190k damage. Did everything I could with the ship I was in. You just, you know, like I said, to carry this game, I would have had to have like a 400,000 damage game, because even after I kill this Bismarck, there's 4 more ships. and I would have had to kill every last one of them. They have 2 caps, they have the point lead. Like, I literally would have had to kill everybody. But I'm gonna go down here. There's, again, you know, I did what I could with what I was in. That's all I have for you. I appreciate you. I'll catch you next time, Captains. Good hunting, fair seas. Take care. Bye.
I don't wanna be friends, je veux ton mot et je veux ta réponse. Je veux ton mot. I don't wanna be friends. I don't wanna be friends. I don't wanna be friends. Want your bad romance? Want your bad romance? I want your love and I want your revenge. You and me could write a bad romance. I want your love and all your lovers' revenge. You and me could write a bad romance. Roma, Roma, ma, ga, ga.